guys, so today in social studies, we are going to learn about 3 more tribes that are in Texas. We're going to take the same kind of notes where we do our bubble map. And then hopefully on Monday, y'all can create something to show me what you learned, all right? So let's see. Our first tribe we're going to talk about today is the Jumano tribe. Yesterday we did circles. Today let's do some kind of squares. All right, and I'm going to look back and kind of remember how we did this. Oh yeah, we wanted to know the region. Remember, we're going to look for if it tells us the region of Texas. We also want to know about their house, like what kind of house do they live in, because they're all very different. Some of them have specific behaviors. Some of them have rules, like one was already, we learned one was a confederacy. We learned about that. What else did we talk about? Oh, we talked about their food. That was important. What kind of food they ate, and their food was often influenced by where they lived. So the tribes we just learned about lived near the coast, and so they had, a lot of them ate fish. Oh, and then we put other just for important stuff, because we were learning about some of their tools and just some different things that were important, we thought. Okay. So pause the video if you need to get those drawn and written, and I'm going to start reading and showing you some things from our book, okay? All right, so it says, many American Indian groups lived in the mountains and plains of West Texas. Some groups were nomads who roamed the region with striped faces, painted or tattooed. Other American Indian groups settled in communities. All right, so the Jumano. More than 500 years ago, the Jumano were a well-known American Indian group in the region. One branch of the Jumano lived near the Rio Grande. In this dry, windy region, they built pueblos and farmed. Ooh, built pueblos. That might be their house. Pueblo is the Spanish word for village. Because there was little rain, the Jumano irrigated their crop. They dug ditches from nearby streams to bring water to their fields. Okay, so we know, let's see, their houses were called pueblos, which means village. Okay, we know that they were farmers. We don't know yet about their food, but we know they had to irrigate, which means dig those ditches to get water to them because they were in a dry region, right? They didn't specifically say exactly where, did they? But let's look back at our map. Okay, right here it says Jumano. I know it's kind of, you can't see it very well, but this says Jumano. And that would be our mountains and basins region of Texas. So let's go ahead and fill that in. Mountain with an I there, and basin. All right. Each Jumano pueblo had its own government. A government is a system by which a group of people are ruled. A chief governed each village. Pueblo buildings were made out of adobe, a brick made from mud and straw, as well as stone and wood. Okay, so the pueblo is the village they lived in, but each village had adobe houses. Okay, and adobe houses were made from, let's list this, mud, straw, stone, and wood. So they made their own bricks by mixing these things together, so they must have had pretty strong houses. These houses don't sound like they're very portable because you wouldn't want to be carrying bricks around. So they lived in a village, they kind of stayed put. They were not nomadic. It didn't sound like they traveled a lot. All right, but let's find out. Let's see if there's anything different. Some Jumano people did not live in the pueblos. Okay. They were nomadic buffalo hunters and traders. They moved east when hunting on the plains was best. Teepees are large tents made of hide were their homes. Okay, so we're going to write about that in a minute. Let's read some more. In winter, nomadic Jumanos returned to be near communities with which they traded. Okay, so some of the Jumano people would be nomadic because they served a different purpose in their community. They would go out and they would hunt the buffaloes, and they would probably trade with other tribes to bring things back to their people. All right? And so it also, with their people, they would bring back some of the buffalo hides and probably provide food in that way too. All right, so I'm going to put that under behaviors. Let's see. Some were nomadic to hunt buffalo and trade. Okay, and so trading was a big thing even among the different tribes because every tribe kind of had their own way of doing things and things they were able to make because of their resources in their area. In winter, nomadic Jumanos returned to be near communities with which they traded. This pattern of settlement allowed Jumanos to get things they did not grow or make themselves. To meet their needs and wants, Pueblo Jumano traded dry beans, squash, and corn. Nomadic Jumanos traded buffalo hides and meat. Other goods that were traded included feathers, turquoise, shells, salt, and items from other faraway American Indian groups. The Jumano had a special way of cooking food. They placed water in a hollow gourd and added hot stones until the water boiled. A Spanish explorer wrote about Jumano cooking. Okay, so this is what they said. As soon as it boils, they put it into what they want to cook, always taking out the stones as they cool off and throwing in hot ones to keep the water boiling steadily. That's interesting. So Europeans were learning something from this tribe on how to boil water and cook. So some of the things that they ate, because they traded them also, was beans, squash, corn. Those are the three sisters again. Corn, not corn. Corn. Buffalo. Okay. And for other, I'm going to say they could boil water for cooking, because I think that's pretty interesting. Alright, so that's all we have about the Jumanos in that book. Let's see if we have anything interesting and different in this one. The Jumano people lived in West Texas in the mountains and basins region of the state. These Native Americans were known as farmers. Their land was dry, but the Jumano took water from nearby streams to water their crops. Remember, that's the irrigation. They lived in adobe villages called pueblos. They were also known to trade for goods that they could not grow or make themselves. So another behavior I'm going to make sure I point out is that they were big-time traders. Okay, so that's about our Jumano people. Get those notes written, and then we'll learn about another tribe on the next slide.